It was 1986. I was 10 years old when my first dream came true. My family had taken me and my brother to go visit family in Colombia, South America. And we were there for 1 month. And I remember that, of course, I was speaking English most of my life, right? Only spoke Spanish on occasion with my parents. And now we were surrounded by family that only spoke Spanish. Well, we were there for a month, for a while, and we were surrounded by cousins, and we were playing constantly, right? And I remember back then, I was 10 years old, little chubby. I used to eat everything. I never complained about food. I ate all my food. And anyway, one night I had a dream that I had woken up and I didn't feel good. I didn't want to eat. And I was moping around. And I remember in the dream, my grandmother saw me and she said, "Hey, grandson, do you want some food?" And I said, "No, no, thanks. I don't feel good. I don't want to eat." And of course, that was strange for me, you know. I told her no thanks. I wasn't hungry. And of course, in my dream, I'm dreaming in English, right? Of course, she didn't speak English. She just spoke Spanish. But in the dream, I'm speaking in English. She's speaking in English. And she asked me if I was hungry. And I said, no, no, thanks. I wasn't feeling good. And then she said, "Oh, doesn't matter. You know how grandmothers are. Doesn't matter. I'm going to make you food anyway." And she made me a soup. And, it was just like that. I was sitting down at the dining room table in her Colombian, like small Colombian house, you know. I was sitting at the living room and I'm looking at the soup and I didn't want to eat. At that moment, I remember my cousin, she lived with my grandma. She went to, somebody was knocking at the door and she went and opened the door. And in a dream, it happened really quick. Opened the door and it was somebody, a friend of my grandmother's. And she was speaking English, and my cousin was speaking English. Also, she didn't speak English. She was a little girl. She was probably like 8 years old or so. And she told my grandmother, "Oh, it's for you." So my grandmother went, and like I said in the dream, it was quick. My grandmother went and spoke with the man, and they walked to the dining room, where I was looking at the food, not wanting to eat, and then she's with him, and he pretty much says, "I'm sorry to tell you, Miss So and so, but just to let you know that you didn't win the lotto." Just like that. Very subtle, very quickly in English. And that was it. And then she's like, "Oh, okay." And that was it. That was a dream. I woke up. Well, I woke up that morning and many things happened. I woke up, I felt queasy. I must have eaten something that did not agree with me. I felt sick. I was like, oh God, did not want to eat any food. I didn't eat breakfast. I was just like drinking like water. I was kind of even nervous about that. I really felt like I felt nauseous. I thought I was gonna throw up. And anyway, we went outside, saw some cousins, played outside a little bit out. Like I said, I really didn't want to eat too much. I didn't want to move too much either. Having a bad day. And anyway, the day was going through, and several hours went by when finally we went back inside to my grandma's house. It was almost around lunchtime, and she knew I hadn't eaten, or I don't think I had eaten that much. And so she asked me, "Grandson," and of course she's speaking in Spanish. And she asked me, "Grandson, do you want some food?" And I said, "No, Grandma, I don't feel good." Of course, I don't remember the dream. At this point, I don't remember the dream. I'm like, "No, Grandma, I don't feel good." And she's like, "Oh, well, I think you should try to eat, so I'm going to make you some food." And of course, she, like grandmothers, and she went and she started making me some food. Of course, this took, in real time, it took a while. She went and started setting up, and I think she was making me a soup. I had lost track of time. I didn't remember the dream still. I went, I did my things, was walking back and forth, watching TV, stuff like that. And then maybe like half hour later, she called me up. "Hey, sit down here. Try to eat this." And I'm like, I really didn't want to eat. I was looking at the soup. I was barely tasting it. I didn't feel like eating it. And then at that point, my cousin, somebody knocked at the door. My grandmother said, "Hey, granddaughter, go and answer the phone. Answer the door. So my cousin, she walked all the way. I could hear, I remember her step. She walked all the way down the hallway to the front, and she opened the door. And the guy was talking to her. They were talking for a while. They're saying good morning or good afternoon, whatever, greetings in Spanish. They're all speaking Spanish. At this point, still, I don't remember the dream at all. And then she said, Grandma, and then my grandma said, who is it? She's like, oh, it's so and so, sir. This person. And she's like, oh, okay, let him in. So she lets him in. So my grandmother goes and she meets him she passes right behind me. She gets next to me on my left side, and the man comes down the hall and goes, and they start talking. At this point, they're talking, they're saying, good afternoon, this and that, how are you, this and that. At this point, I still don't remember the dream. I'm still looking at that soup, not wanting to eat, trying not to throw up. And then my grandmother said, okay, so how can I help you? What's going on? This and that. And he's like, well, you know what? And then they were talking for a while, probably like 5-10 minutes. They were just talking, rambling on. And then they both, of course, conversation in Spanish, remember? And then he said, no, I just wanted to tell you, that remember that the lotto, he was a lotto, he used to sell the lotto, this local lottery seller, He's like, oh, remember that lotto you played the other day? Well, I just letting you know that, yeah, unfortunately you didn't win anything. And she was like, oh, okay, well, try next time. And then when I heard that, I was like, lotto. And then, I'm translating everything. And I'm like, what? And that's where I was like, what? I just had this dream this last night. I had this dream in English, but it happened right now in Spanish in real time. And of course, it took longer. And I was just like, what the F? What the freaking... I couldn't believe it. I was like, I was like, I forgot about my sickness. At this point, I'm like freaking out. I'm like, who the heck's going to believe me? I don't even remember if I told my cousin. I think I did. Like, they probably thought I was nuts. So like, oh, okay, that's weird. And that was it. Like, nobody ever else... I never really told anybody else. And then I think about that day, and I was like, bro, that was crazy. That was nuts. Like, a dream I had the night before became reality the next day. Like, it came true the next day. So I was like, all right. So I have to tell you guys this because, again, I've had a lot of dreams since then. Really crazy dreams. And I've had at this point, I think I've had, including this one, like 3 or 4 dreams that have come true. So that's why I'm telling you this, and I'm making these videos on the video vlog. You can decide, or you could share your opinion or think I'm crazy. That's fine. I kind of think I'm crazy too. All this crazy stuff going on. Anyways, comment down below, like, subscribe. I'm going to be sharing all my other dreams or explaining the dreams that I've had that are in my video vlog. The ones that have come true, I will explain them. Till next time. Bye. Thanks.